Let me tell you a little story about a Ford Flambe. So there used to be a John Deere dealership in Continental Ohio named Henry Implement and owned by a man named Schulte. Now, for many years, Schulte had Cutlass Cruiser, Oldsmobile station wagons as service vehicles, painted green and yellow. Very nice vehicles. Seems you can put a lot of combine parts in the back of a big old station wagon. They were cheap, and he ran them until the wheels fell off. And once the wheels fell off, he replaced them with assorted other machines that he picked up used and cheap various places, painted them green. And the machine that we're discussing in this is a 1990 F250 Ford Custom. By Custom, it has a massive collection of very beautiful, intricate, individually locked toolboxes in the back, which that part of the truck still exists in the shed to this day. Anyway, this truck was assigned to my cousin David, who used to work for Schulte, and when Schulte retired, everyone at his dealership was hired by the new dealership, Northwest Tractor in Ottawa, and he decided the best way to deal with this was to simply fire everyone on their last day of work, give them each a vehicle as severance pay. They don't miss a single paycheck, they get a nice little bonus, and the next day they all report to work in Ottawa, which worked out well for all concerned, and Schulte didn't have to dispose of a bunch of old vehicles. Anyway, my cousin decided he no longer wanted the truck at some point, and sold it to Dad. John Deere Green, 1990, Ford F250 Custom, used to belong to a railroad as the original owner. It did not have the wheels on it for the track. It was just one they drove alongside the track. Anyway, we were cutting the beans at Hector, and on the way home, Dad was in front of me in the combine. I had the truck, I had the beans in the wagon behind me. Just nondescript trip home, nothing exciting. And I see a little smoke come out of the dash, and the motor stops running. Now, so I decided to get out of the truck, and I pop the hood, and I take a look under there, and I see some flame. And I remember hearing that if you open a hood on a vehicle that's on fire, you can have a massive fireball come out, and that does bad things to your eyebrows, which I still had then. And I didn't want to do that. So I decided the best course of action was to turn away from the truck and walk briskly to the nearest home, which was Lee Ridenauer, and call 911. I made it about 100 yards away when I heard the tires explode. Turned around, looked back, and saw there were flames coming out of where the windshield used to be. Walked a little faster after that. So I get in and I call 911, and the fire. And while we're waiting for the fire truck, people are driving past this truck. I think people may have made special detours out of their way to drive past this truck. This is Putnam County, Ohio. We are laid out in a grid. You do not need to get your nice, pretty car within a foot of the flames shooting out the window of the truck that is flaming on the pavement. You do not need to do that. Just drive around the block. It will be okay. You're not in that big a hurry. Now, the part of the problem is the shed doors open south. I'm 1.1 miles north of home, I checked, and I can see the shed from here. I'm north of home. Dad doesn't know there's a problem. His truck is in a pillar of smoke and fire suitable for leading the Israelites across the desert just north of his property, and he is the last one in the county to know about it. I had to finally send a neighbor out to tell him. I had cousins from town get out before he did. So anyway, eventually the fire department comes out. It takes about half a second to get the thing out. And so we have this burned husk of a truck that, I forget how we did get it home. I think they flatbedded it. I don't think we could drag it. Anyway, what was interesting was there was a can of PB Catalyst on the seat, which survived. Half the paint was gone off, and the nozzle was half rinsed off, but it still sprays. They still have it somewhere. All the keys melted off, and I'm like, yes, the truck burned up for me. Well, did it just burn the wiring? No. Did you know alternators melt? They do. The alternator was in a puddle on the ground, as was the radiator, the transmission cooler, the intake manifold. Fortunately, the fuel tank in the back did not ignite. What I think happened, if I was forced to put money on it, I'd say an exhaust leak set the heater hose on fire. But of course, there was no evidence left under the hood to tell you of this. So we pulled the toolboxes off, and I repainted them, of course. Repainted the inside yellow, the outside green. Looks very nice. and we have them in the shed. But of course, we can't lock them anymore because the keys burn up. Did I mention this is Monday of Fire Prevention Week 2010? So, of course, my coworker, who was a fireman, gave me one of those little plastic helmets that they give the kids. I would like to point out I have never burned up another truck since then. But that following weekend, I had to go to another friend's house and buy several hundred gallons of fuel oil because he'd converted to geothermal, and I felt just a little bit self-conscious with my super truck pulling that. Considering I could burn up a truck with beans, I didn't really want to deal with accelerants. But that went well. Nothing went wrong that time. At least that's the way I heard it. Don't burn your trucks up, kids. Right after you drop from full coverage to liability insurance.